every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
A very good evening to you and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Nena Nyama. In our major stories tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari has sworn in Professor Mahamudu Yakubu as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Also in this program, President Muhammadu Buhari has fired the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Lamode. And President Muhammadu Buhari and Nigerians congratulate the Golden Eaglets for clinching the 2015 Under-17 World Cup. And outside Nigeria, opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi's party is claiming gains in Myanmar's parliamentary election, with supporters already celebrating an anticipated landslide victory. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight. President Muhammadu Buhari has sworn in Professor Mahamudu Yakubu as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. At a swearing-in ceremony which took place in the Federal Executive Council chambers, President Buhari vowed not to interfere with the independence of the electoral body. The president also sworn in Mustafa Leki, Antonia Okosi Zingbina, Baba Shatima and Solomon Shoyabi as INEC National Commissioners. Our State House correspondent Abiola Oluwole has more in this report.
The ceremony is in the aftermath of the screening and confirmation of Professor Jega's successor and 5 national commissioners by the Senate. In a brief but strong speech, President Buhari promised not to tamper with the independence of INEC. He also said he will not allow a situation where the state electoral bodies hide under technicalities of the law, which prevents the federal government from monitoring their activities to deprive people of their democratic choices.
Another area of concern is the justice administration of the electoral tribunals. It is long overdue that our justice system addresses these shortcomings. It is not just enough for an election to be cancelled and a new one ordered. It would be much better if all those actions or inactions led to the cancellation of such elections to be investigated and, if culpable, prosecuted, whether they are individuals as candidates or party agents, institutions such as political party, electoral body, or public officers as electoral staff or security agents.
The president, however, cautioned the newly sworn-in INEC management team to shun acts that may discredit the sanctity of the commission.
You should not allow yourselves to be unduly influenced or subject yourself to the control of outside forces. You must respect the law and we will hold you bound by the oath which you have just taken. The nation has reposed a lot of trust and confidence in you. You cannot afford to fail.
For his part, the INEC chairman vowed to explore new ways of doing things in order to consolidate on the successes of the election management body.
On behalf of myself and members of the Commission, Mr. President, we pledge our commitment to the discharge of our responsibilities without fear or favor. Free, fair, and credible election is at the heart of our nation's progress and stability. We shall not fail the nation.
And as the new INEC team assumes office, political watchers are convinced that the forthcoming Kogi and Bayelsa state governorship elections will be a true test of the impartiality of the electoral body under Professor Yakubu and the assurances of non-interference by President Buhari. From the presidential villa in Abuja, Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News.
Meanwhile, Senate President Bukola Saraki has urged the new INEC management team to place a premium on conducting credible elections. He noted that ensuring free, fair and credible election remains the only way to sustain the nation's democracy. Saraki spoke on the sidelines of the swearing-in of the new leadership of the commission at the presidential villa.
I think they gave a good outing when they came for the screening. Some of us are confident that, led with the chairman, they should be able to do what is required to take us to that level of having to have credible, free elections, and that people will be proud of them and say yes. Because once you have elections that are credible, it's easier for the democracy to be sustained and to be stable.
Away from that, the army has announced the arrest of another wanted suspected Boko Haram terrorist. This comes within few hours of one of the 100 suspects recently declared wanted at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, Abuja. The army authorities said in a statement that Ishaku Wadi Fen was arrested by troops at a checkpoint in Meha, Adamawa State this morning. Army spokesman Colonel Sani Usman said preliminary investigations showed that the suspected terrorist is a Cameroonian. He noted a visual matching with the recently released wanted list showed that Ishaku resembled the suspect with serial number 22 on the list. Colonel Usman added that the suspect has been handed over to military intelligence for further investigation and possible prosecution. President Muhammadu Buhari has fired the chairman of the anti-graft agency, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Lamode. The Lamode, former police officer, was removed 4 years after he took over as the chairman of the agency. He worked earlier as the director of operations before he was appointed head by former President Goodluck Jonathan on November 23, 2011, after former chairperson Farida Waziri was removed. Presidential spokesperson Femi Adesina said Lamode was not sacked but that he was proceeding on terminal leave ahead of the expiration of his tenure in February 2016. Meanwhile, President Buhari has approved the appointment of Ibrahim Mustafa Magu as acting chairman of the commission. Magu, an assistant commissioner of police, was a former head of the economic governance unit of the anti-graft agency. The Code of Conduct Bureau has arraigned former Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Gusdale Rubebe, on a 4-count charge of alleged false declaration of assets and acceptance of about 70 million naira bribe. Orubebe, who was stuck before the Code of Conduct Tribunal today, but pleaded not guilty when the charges were read to him. Prosecution counsel Musa Usman consequently asked for adjournment to enable him call witnesses. Tribunal Chairman Danladi Umaru granted the request and adjourned to November 26 for hearing.
Today we were ready to proceed, and that they are not ready to proceed after the heavy weather made out of this case about 10 days ago. One could feel free, feel easy to say that probably the allegations are not real.
I'm somebody that loves this country. I have worked for this country. I also remember 2008, 2009, when the economy of this country was going down because of the Niger Delta crisis. I was the only minister who went around the camps of the former militant leaders that led to amnesty. I have worked for this country. And I believe that it is wrong for people to have a perception that anybody that has worked for this government, or government at any time in this country, is is a criminal. I think that perception is wrong.
Former National Security Advisor Samuel Dasuki has dragged the federal government to a federal high court in Abuja, seeking for enforcement of his fundamental rights and security of his life. Dasuki is also asking the court to compel the operatives of the Department of State Services to vacate his house located at 13 John Kadia Street, Asokoro, with immediate effect. The motion and notice was premised on 5 grounds, including the request to enforce the 3-week permission granted him by the court on November 3 to travel abroad for medical appointment with his physician. Dasuki, through his counsel, Ahmed Raji, claimed that the federal government, acting through the operatives of DSS and other security agencies, have frustrated the order by barricading his apartment since the permission was granted. The former NSA also requested the court to extend the order of November 3 since it could not be implemented due to the action of the security agents. No date has, however, been fixed for the hearing of the suit. It will be recalled that the federal government had preferred criminal charges of unlawful possession of firearms and money laundering against Dasuki at the Federal High Court, but it denied the charges and was granted bail. Justice Ibrahim Buba of the Federal High Court in Lagos has dismissed the fundamental human rights enforcement suits filed by the engineers who constructed the collapsed 6-story building at the Synagogue Church of All Nations in the Ikotu area of Lagos. The collapse of the building, which occurred on September 12, 2014, had led to the death of 116 persons. The engineers, Oladele Ogundeji and Akimbella Fatiregun, had filed 2 separate suits before Justice Buba, seeking an order restraining the police from inviting, arresting or prosecuting them over the victim's death. The Lagos State government thereafter set up a coroner inquest to unravel what went wrong, and via a verdict delivered on August 7, 2015 by Magistrate Ogetade Komolafe, the coroner indicted the engineers and recommended them for investigation and prosecution for criminal negligence. We'll take a break now and be back shortly with more stories. To stay with us.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water, and nudity.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
Talk to our husband that you should keep promise about what you said. And because people are watching you, you know, another election is coming.
Because some people will stand for Yoruba land, will be strong man, you don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Some pundits believe that as long as the political system is driven by selected few, corruption may be difficult to fight.
You should be careful about what you say.
I am not the only politician. Even if I've wronged anyone, it is time to forgive me.
Please for Arena every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. and a repeat broadcast every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m.
Glad to have you back. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. A quick reminder of our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has sworn in Professor Mahamood Yakubu as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Also in this program, President Muhammadu Buhari has fired the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Lamode. President Muhammadu Buhari and Nigerians congratulate the Golden Eaglets for clinching the 2015 Under-17 World Cup. For more of our news stories, join us on the social media platforms facebook.com/CoreTV News. On Twitter, at CoreTV News NG. And on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV Live News. House Leader Femi Gbajabiamila and a number of his loyalists in the House of Representatives stayed away from the inauguration of the committees, but this did not stop the event, which was attended by Senate President Bukola Saraki and some former speakers of the lower chamber. It also provided an opportunity for Speaker Yakubu Dogara to speak on criticisms trailing the number of committees in the House. National Assembly correspondent Jamila Fegwa now reports.
Capacity as guests including the President of the Senate, Abubakar Bukola Saraki, former Speaker Patricia Ete, former legislative heads, representatives of service chiefs and traditional rulers came to grace the inauguration of the standing committees of the 8th House of Assembly. First on the program was goodwill messages, where the House of Representatives was hailed for its work for Nigerians.
When issues like the petroleum subsidy, removal of subsidy, or to be or not to be, these chambers have found courage to stand in the Nigerian. Those of us who have been here before, we are full of praises for all of you, both this Senate and the previous Senate, this Assembly and the previous House of Representatives. They have done us very proud, and we remain prayerful that we will promise.
In a special paper presented by former Deputy Speaker Honorable Chibudom Nwoche, the House was urged to be more steadfast in discharging their duties as from the past.
Committees are expected to be sufficiently provided with the most modern equipment and be manned by highly trained, disciplined and motivated staff to enable them achieve optimum results.
Amidst loud ovation, the President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, in his charge, asked for a cooperation between the two chambers.
You will recall that this is the first time in the history of the National Assembly for the two chambers of the House and the Senate separately to forge and adopt a legislative agenda to guide our activities in order to give the 8th National Assembly ambition, direction, a national goal towards socio-economic and political reform. Today, by this inauguration, the House has set the stage for the practical application of its own legislative agenda through this inauguration.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, in his address explained that the increased number of committees has not increased the cost of running the offices, since the staff are already being paid by the National Assembly. 9 more committees, including one on internally displaced persons, were created, bringing the committees to 96. Jamil Afegwa, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Media officers in government establishments and institutions have taken part in a 2-day training workshop aimed at enhancing effective professional techniques for improved communications in governance. The 2-day training workshop, which is in the instance of the Presidency, is organized by the United States Embassy in conjunction with the Nigeria Union of Journalists in Abuja. Our correspondent Basi Aye reports that President Muhammadu Buhari's media handlers were also present.
This gathering of spokespersons from the presidency down to other government ministries and agencies is part of the current administration's effort at efficient information management. According to the organizers and resource person, there is need for government to improve on its communication style as a critical component of democracy. They also say government must put forward coordinated messages that uphold transparency, especially in connection with counter-terrorism and insurgency.
It's the importance of whatever the issue of the day is, make sure that you get there first. Make sure that you're the first one to comment on it, that your remarks or your statement is out there first. That way you capture control of the issue. Everyone else has to respond to what you say. I've learned the hard way too often that if you let someone else comment first and you're then reacting to what they said, it's very, very difficult to make up, to catch up. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's something that has become very apparent to me. Because related to that, something that all of us struggle with when we speak for our government is you want to get out, as I just said, you want to get out quickly, you want to be the first one out there, and yet you have to be very careful about what you say. Because once you say something in public, I've learned the hard way, you can never unsay it.
Contradictory messages or messages that are unclear emanating from a government give the impression that that government doesn't really know where it's going or that there are serious internal divisions within the government. And it's up to communications people to try to make sure that information and messages are clearly coordinated.
The participants agree on the need for government to reposition its information strategy. In their view, all government agencies and establishments must speak with one voice.
It is not all information that is out there that is credible. And most of the time, if you are not patient, you will run along with information that is not credible. So I'm still saying that it's important for journalists to be patient to get the credible and accurate information from the spokespersons.
There's a need for us, as I said, let's have a map. Every day, let's have an understanding of who is doing what are they saying. And then the president must rise on top of the heap.
And of course, the role of technology in all of this.
It's possible, it's doable, because simple, whether SMS or email, you don't have to come under one roof to meet. You will know what each other is doing. But as it is now, I say sometimes we think that there is need for the presidency to get a piece of information from one government body.
No.
Do you know how much trouble it takes to extricate information from agencies of Nigeria?
The workshop will also hold in Lagos and Kaduna states. Basiaye, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The court case involving the Ekiti State People's Democratic Party and the landlord of its secretariat building came up again at the Ado-Ekiti High Court. The landlord, Rokwa Adesanya, dragged the PDP to court to pay up the house rent owed him, but the PDP in a twist said the landlord would exercise patience for he cannot fight an organization like the PDP, telling him to provide more evidences that show that the PDP is owing him. Rashid reports from the Ado-Ekiti High Court premises.
At the resumed hearing on the case between Rokwa Adesanya, landlord to the Ekiti State PDP, the PDP contends that the landlord has to tender more documents to show that the PDP is indebted to him. But Rokwa Adesanya says the PDP's position is of victimization from the state government.
Used to pay a landlord, and the landlord said you should pay. You didn't pay. You gave the landlord a dot check, and I reported the case to the police. You signed an authority in the police in Alagbon that you are coming to pay on 29th of September. You didn't go there to pay, and I said they should vacate the house. And they are now quoting and using power within Ekiti State. These are the people that have been paying when they were not even in power. They were paying me. Now because they are in power, and because somebody who believes that he is already Mekunu in any way is the Ota Mekunu in this way, willingly, wishfully, and wickedly is trying to use his power to deny me of my right.
Though the PDP agrees that dot check was issued to Rokwa Adesanya, they however plead for patience.
The party account is under certain challenges, and we cannot issue checks on that account for now until the challenges is brought aside. The challenge is just what we have just said, that some people issue a dot check, and I will only plead with the landlord to remain patient and be more friendly with the party.
Counsel to the PDP persists that the quick notice served its client is improper, thus making the presiding judge adjourn to the 23rd of November. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
Things may seem not to be going on well at the Kwara State University, Malete, as both the management and academic staff are embroiled in crisis due to recent suspension of 6 lecturers. While the Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Rashid Naala, justified the suspension of an illegal meeting of the lecturers and rough handling of the Chief Security Officer who challenged them. The lecturers, on their part, traced the history of the suspension to agitation to unionism, which the school refused to approve. Our correspondent has more in this report.
The crisis rocking the Kwara State University seems unending. Although the campus looks calm, devoid of any crisis, but it is clear that both the academic staff and the management are currently not in good relationship, as the management recently suspended 6 academic staff for what it termed holding meeting in an open place without approval from the authority. The Vice-Chancellor, Professor Rashid Naala, said the lecturers behaved unruly to the Chief Security Officer, who asked for permission and was rough-handled, which made the school to suspend them pending the conclusion of the investigation.
Was that some people occupied an academic space, a group, and the Chief Security Officer of the university went to say, excuse me, he was trying to speak to a leader or 2 of them, that you have no permission, you've not received university's permission to occupy this space. And suddenly, some of them were removing their clothes, trying to hit, trying to beat, embarrassing, saying all sorts of things to the Chief Security Officer of the university. So, and when it happened, university didn't even take any action until a report came from the Chief Security Officer that now detailed what happened. No serious university anywhere in the world will keep quiet to that.
In a reaction, the Proton Chairman of Academic Staff Union, Dauda Adeshola, who is one of the 6 suspended, denied ever attacking the security officer, claiming that they actually wrote the school authorities several times.
And as we were doing our meeting, the CSO, that is Chief Security Officer of the university, came to us that, who's Adeshola here? And my members pointed to me that, my colleagues pointed to me that he's the one presiding over the meeting. He said, Adeshola, you have to follow me to my office. You are under arrest, sir. How can you say that I'm under arrest? Because of what? And the meeting was disrupted for almost 30 minutes, but we later continued our meeting. What we will see later is the letter of suspension after maybe 5 days of that meeting.
Another victim of the suspension traced the history of the suspension to their decision to unionize after 6 years of the establishment of the university, which has been blocked by the Vice-Chancellor.
We hold meeting, 17 of us try to form ASU after 5 years expiration. And the Vice-Chancellor brought out a communique calling us cultists, holding a clandestine meeting. And after that, we were able to get our observer status, as rightly said, and we were able to hold our first Congress. We are passing resolution. We pass those resolutions that day, and we try to convey our resolution to the management. Where we have a sole administrator, a chief executive that does anything he wants, and he doesn't want check and balances. Almost all Nigerian vice chancellors don't want check and balances because they don't want anybody to ask them why this one is like this and why that one is like that.
As the crisis rages on, it is hoped that the National Union of ASU will wade into the crisis and bring about amicable resolutions. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has pledged the support of the state government to see to the completion of the bone marrow transplant center at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Lod, which will go a long way to save the lives of those suffering sickle cell disorder. The governor spoke when the chairman, Sickle Cell Foundation Nigeria, Olu Akinyoju, and the National Direction and Chief Executive Officer of the foundation, Annette Akinshete, paid him a courtesy visit at the Lagos House in Lausa, Ikeja, where he was adopted as a patron of the Sickle Cell Club, Lagos, Nigeria, a position only previously occupied by former governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Commending the foundation for intervening and providing succor to victims of sickle cell in Nigeria, Governor Ambode expressed optimism that the establishment of the center will be a major breakthrough, saying that the state government will provide support in line with the cardinal programs of his administration to touch as many lives as possible. Teenage pregnancy is a global problem which affects not only the future of the young woman but her health and education. The United Nations Population Fund says pregnancies among girls less than 18 years of age have irreparable consequences, and research shows that babies born to teens may have weaker intellectual development, lower skill, medical and behavioral issues. Our correspondent Nettie Lowberry has details of the story.
The impact of teenage pregnancy cannot be overemphasized, as it violates the right of girls with life-threatening consequences in terms of sexual and reproductive health. Most teenagers have misleading information about their reproductive health, and in trying to experiment their sexuality with the opposite sex, they end up pregnant. Aside the psychological effect, some complications that may occur during teen pregnancy include anemia, toxemia, high blood pressure, and premature birth of the baby. These complications are usually as a result of the young mother's inexperience to cope with changes in her body and motherhood.
For a younger person, there might be complications. What are the effects? We've seen people who have children much earlier having complications like VVF, which of course affects them in life. They become ostracized, they drop out of school. And because they drop out of school, we find out that even the children they have are not well educated, because we find out that a woman who is educated has a higher chance of bringing up a child who will also be interested in education.
Aside the health implications, teenage pregnancy also affects the academics of the young teenager, as she not only drops out of school, but her entire career path could be destroyed as she grapples to face the challenge of taking care of the baby.
Naturally, it's a very bad thing for a young child to get pregnant at an early age, and there are so many reasons for that. It's either the child is the teenage girl is ill-informed, or maybe she has been influenced negatively, from maybe her background.
Teenage mothers not only suffer from social stigma in society, usually their self-esteem becomes very low as they find it difficult to interact freely with their peers. With all of these, it however behoves on the parent, government and non-governmental organizations to ensure they create the necessary awareness on sexuality issues so as to secure the future of the adolescents.
That you will take a break now, return with more stories. To stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back in business. The Chief Executive Officer of MTN, Sifiso Dabengwa, has resigned following the $5.2 billion fine imposed on the company by the Nigeria Communications Commission. Dabengwa made this known in a statement sent to the newsmen in Abuja. He said resignation is in the best interest of MTN, which has seen its share price fall since the fine was announced. It will be recalled that the $5.2 billion fine was imposed on the company in October after it failed to deactivate and register SIM cards from its network. On the foreign scene, opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi's party is claiming gains in Myanmar's parliamentary election, with supporters already celebrating an anticipated landslide victory. At least 2,000 people braved the afternoon downpour today in the commercial capital, Yangon, as they awaited the announcement of the results and the possible speech by the democracy icon. Supporters waved the red flag at the Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy NLD party while singing along the campaign theme song. Party spokesman Win Hayton said the NLD had won about 70% of the votes counted by midday on Monday. A Jordanian police officer shot dead at least 2 Americans and 1 South African and also injured 4 Jordanians. The killings today took place inside the police training center in Amman, Jordan's capital city. Report says the shooter also committed suicide after the killing. Jordanian government spokesman Mohammed Momani, who confirmed this, revealed that the shooter's name was Anwar Abu Zaid. Momani added that the shooter had served in the Criminal Investigation Department and the Police Intelligence Unit before joining the training program in Muwaka. Up next is sports. Nigeria's Golden Eaglets have retained the Under-17 World Cup by defeating the Young Eagles of Mali 2-0 in the finals played in the Chilean capital of Santiago. The Eaglets recovered from missing a 4th-minute penalty to opening the scoring through striker Victor Osimhen early in the second half for his 10th goal of the tournament before Funsho Bangboye added another 2 minutes later. President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the Golden Eaglet for winning this year's FIFA Under-17 World Cup. The Eaglets this morning defeated the Malian Under-17 team 2-0 to win the Cadet World Cup for the 5th time. In a statement issued by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity Femi Adesina, the President applauded exemplary zeal, determination, commitment, hard work, patriotism and soccer artistry displayed by the Eagles throughout the tournament. He noted with delight that the Golden Eaglet did not only win the coveted World Cup, but they are also bringing home the highly valued individual awards, such as the Golden Boot won by Victor Osimhen for being the tournament's highest goal scorer and the Golden Ball won by the team captain Kelechi Nwakali for being the best player. President Buhari believed that by the triumph in Chile, the Golden Eaglets had shown the world that the indomitable Nigerian spirit is alive and waxing stronger. Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has congratulated the Golden Eaglet for their feat at the just concluded Under-17 World Cup tournament held in Chile. The Eaglets in the early hours of today defeated the Malian side 2-0 in the pulsating final to emerge winners of the trophy for a record 5th time. The governor, in the statement signed by his chief press secretary Habib Aruno, said the resilience of the Eaglets to go all the way to defend the title which they won in the UAE 2 years ago was typical of the Nigerian spirit in the face of any daunting challenge. Amidst the congratulatory messages over the victory of the Golden Eaglet for the 5th time in the Under-17 World Cup Championship, reactions trail as Nigerians are happy and optimistic about the team. However, they want the government to support the champions.
Yeah, as a Nigerian, I'm happy, and I hope all Nigerians that are watching are also happy because, you know, it's not easy. Many people, many countries wait for that same trophy, and to see our own Golden Eaglets, you know, conquer the world, it's not an easy thing. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, for the 5th time, I am happy that they win the cup. But I wish that one day the Super Eagles will learn from the Under-17, you know, and do us, make us proud.
I personally, really enjoyed the football match. I, for one, I don't like football, but yesterday was fantastic. I keep vigil to watch the match, and I was satisfied.
I want to show my appreciation to the federal government of Nigeria, who give them full support, because it was the support given to them, make them, that ginger them, motivate them, make them to play well. And my giving them kudos also go to their coach, who try much possible, give them the necessary training that make them to deliver.
And that's it on CoreTV Primetime News. But before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari sworn in Professor Mahmood Yakubu as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Also, President Muhammadu Buhari has fired the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Lamode. And finally, President Muhammadu Buhari and Nigerians congratulates the Golden Eaglets for clinching the 2015 Under-17 World Cup. Thank you so very much for staying with us tonight. I am Nena Nyama. Do have a lovely night rest.